and our Science of Mind class this morning. I'm Dr. Petra, and we are happy that you're here, happy to have you in the room, happy to have you online as we are starting this whole next section in the Science of Mind on spiritual mind healing and the practical application of these principles. So we're on page 139. And I just want to make a nod to what we talked about yesterday, last week, the act of incarnation, the very last paragraph there. And remember that I like to translate the word mind to consciousness. Mind is really the word that Ernest Holmes had, which fundamentally is in philosophy, right? It's the English translation of the Greek word psyche. And psyche means a whole lot more than what we normally think of as mind. We often think of mind as, well, I'm in my head, I'm, in my left brain, and we have to continually remind ourselves that that's not what's meant here by the word mind. So I like to translate it into consciousness because it's the wholeness of our minds, our emotions, our heart, our somatic experience of life, right? All of that, our awareness is what the Greeks meant by the word psyche. And so the infinite consciousness then imparts itself to the finite through the act of incarnation. The progress of the human race is a result of that process, whereby intelligence passes by successive degrees of incarnation through evolution into the human mind, or into human consciousness. So the idea here is that the infinite intelligence has been a steadily evolving creation to that place where it can not only incarnate as life, the animating principle, but actually as consciousness and ultimately as self-consciousness. And so this has been the evolutionary progress from the beginning of the Big Bang all the way through the beginning of the Earth, all the way through the beginning of having humanoids continually growing, the growth of all of our physicality so that consciousness can incarnate, can express itself through us, as us. And so this idea of incarnation, right, reminds us we are made in the image and likeness of that one infinite. And what we're constantly trying to remember is that what we've learned about the nature of reality and how it works is actually how our lives work as well. And so there's not a disconnect about that. It's not we have to become that. We already are that. So we're going to talk about this next section, the activity of one mind, because we're in the whole chapter on the power of thought. And so the power of thought is available to us because we understand that consciousness is everywhere. There's no place where consciousness is not. Therefore, there's no place that mind is not. Therefore, there's no place that qualities of this consciousness, we call it intelligence, is also everywhere present, right? Because it's ubiquitous in the very nature of reality. We are living in an intelligent universe. And what do we mean by intelligent? It knows how to do things. It knows how to take the impress and make it into creation. Simple as that. It's intelligent. That's what we mean by intelligence. There is an intelligence. It's not unlike the recognition that we have that our bodies have intelligence. I remember when I broke my collarbone earlier this year, and what I would say is my body knows how to heal. My body knows how to knit the bones together. My body knows how to heal and grow the tissues back together. My body knows how to do that. I don't have to do anything but provide the right environment. That's all I have to do. right, is to provide the right environment. And it knows. That's what we mean by intelligence. It doesn't consciously know, but there is in consciousness this infinite intelligence that every cell, every atom has, right? And in the places where self-awareness is awakening, then there is the ability to see this intelligence. So we are living in an intelligent universe which responds to our mental states. To the extent that we learn to control these mental states, we shall automatically control our environment. If you ever want to really understand how true this is, you take this idea into playing board games. Karen and I are playing endless games of Carcassonne, and we keep adding extensions. Our Carcassonne is a fabulous game where you build a board, and as you're building it, there's different things. There's the princess means this, and the dragon means that, and there's all kinds of fun things, and you're trying to make the most points. And so what I notice is that Karen has a very different idea about how to build things. And I am enthralled with the way she does it, because I'm likely to say, you're never going to get that piece. It's like drawing to an inside straight. And she basically, she doesn't quite say it, she's very, very kind, but she basically says, watch me. And so we were playing last night, and I'm like, and so I'm like, okay, I'm really going to pay attention to how she's doing it. And what I notice is I am overly neat. So I fill up spaces, not because it's the best move, but because it neatens the city I'm building, or it fills a space that looks like it should be filled, and it's not, and I have a piece that fills it, and it's not necessary. Do you see what I'm saying, right? And so she lapped me twice on the board. She won by 150 points or something ridiculous, and I could really see that my mental state was imposing a false idea of how I should play those pieces. Do you see what I'm saying? And it was my mental idea, either I'm never going to get that piece that's going to fit in this funky space, everything has to be kind of orderly. Well, actually, it doesn't. Really, if you're playing the game, it's just a game, right? And so this is what it means, that our mental states are things we have to pay attention to. Now, ultimately, we recognize that our mental state is causal. It's actually activating this intelligent law. So, sure enough, she closed her big giant city, got 45 points for it, which we've never gotten that many points before. I was building a massive city, and I did not get the last piece. And I kept saying, I hope I get it, I hope I get it. And she would go, Petra, we don't do hope here. We know that we're going to get it. And I didn't believe that I would get it. And sure enough, and had I gotten it, it was a 68-point city. But do you see just the expectation? And she would get these, I can't believe you got that piece. And and so this is what we mean, and it doesn't mean you can go to Vegas and now, win at every craps game or every poker game. But I like to use really simple, ordinary experiences to help me understand what it is we're talking about. I'm also really good at knowing who's going to go first. We play, you put the red and the blue in each hand, and in the minute she puts it out, I know where mine is, and I pick it. And I made the mistake of telling her that. She says, oh, no, you have to now do it, and I'll pick. Right? Because we all have these abilities, and so we don't generally play with them too much, because it's actually not fair, unless both of you are doing it like that, right? But that's these kinds of things show us this intelligence. Our mental atmosphere is what we're talking about in consciousness. It's not just the words we're saying to ourselves, oh, I hope I get the peace. It's actually the underlying belief and expectation that those words express. Do you see what I'm saying? And the intelligence of the universe responds, well, I hope I get the job. Well, I don't know, the economy and and so then all of a sudden our finances are a little out of whack or whatever it is. So to the extent that we learn to control these natural states, these mental states, we shall automatically control our environment. This is why we are studying the power of thought as we approach the subject of spiritual mind healing. And this is the thing that I see over and over and over again, right? That my doctor said to me, you're a rock star. Not only did you heal really fast, you have all your strength and mobility back. Yes, I expected it. I'll be all right. And so the mental state of expecting good, do you see, is a powerful mental state, as opposed to expecting, well, I don't know, or expecting, oh God, this is going to take a long time. Do you see? And then the intelligence of the universe is just responding, just going, oh, okay, I guess that's how it's going to be. And the fact of being able to explore this is not about what's wrong with my consciousness. That's a waste of time. What we're doing is, how do we make our consciousness work for us? Do you see? Because otherwise, all we do is beat ourselves up, and there's no point in that, and it's not useful. So this is what is meant by the practical application of this science to the problems of everyday living. The result of this mental work is what is meant by demonstration. We should expect to see the outcome of this mental work that we're doing in consciousness. So in this great universal consciousness, we are a center of intelligence, and every time we think, we set mind in motion. We set consciousness in motion. And because of this oneness, right, it can't know anything outside of what is in its consciousness. And so in our little universe, our little world, we're contributing an enormous amount to the creation of that experience, of what consciousness is receiving. It can do nothing but reflect whatever is cast into it. It is its nature that must create after the pattern of our thought that our thought gives to it. Right? And so often when we talk about spiritual practice, we talk about, I'm going to meditate, I'm going to do this, spiritual mind healing, I got to do my affirmations. But fundamentally, the first spiritual practice is self-awareness. That's what it means to become conscious, to become aware of the patterns and expectations that we hold, that come up. Yeah, but, well, you know how it is. Those insidious, subtle little things that are the ways in which we are approaching our life, that's what we're holding in consciousness. And so we're going to come to it somewhere along the line in these chapters where Ernest Holmes reminds us that it is the sum total of our thinking and the tendency of our beliefs and expectations that are generating, in general, the background of our life. And yes, we can very specifically get very committed. I'm going to manifest this thing, and I'm going to think it and believe it, and think it and believe it, and think it and believe it, and sure enough, we can manifest it. But ultimately, it's tiring to keep having to manifest things, right? What we want to do is get beneath that, where we're manifesting a different consciousness a different expectation of life, a general expectation that things really do kind of work out, a general expectation that life's trajectory is for good, a general expectation that, yes, we actually can do this. There is an intelligence that responds to us. Do you see? That's the consciousness, the milieu that we want to have in our mind, in our consciousness, which means, of course, that the infinite intelligence has to reflect that back to us. And so our spiritual practice, while it's lovely to have formal spiritual practices of meditation and spiritual mind treatment and affirmations and things like that, self-awareness, paying attention to what's going on in our brain, in our minds, and again, those subtle little things that come up. And it's really powerful not only to hear or feel, right? It might not even come into words. It might be an internal sensation of lack of expectation of good, right? Might not be the words. But it's also really interesting to pay attention to our idle chatter. Both the idle chatter in our consciousness and the sort of idle chatter that we do with other people when we're on the phone, when we're just talking, we're talking about our lives, and we're talking about stuff. Man, we can so reveal what's in our consciousness. Hearing that, and we can't do anything about it until we can realize that while we may love being positive or having, using our spiritual tools, if that isn't sinking in and becoming the underlying ground of our consciousness, we have a lot more work that we have to do. So we want to stop here and talk about this idea of consciousness, this idea of the intelligence of the universe and its response, and how do you find that? How have you manifested that? Where are you struggling with that? Do you have a place of uncertainty around it, or are there other ways in which we can really get a hold of this? So this is the topic for today. We're going to turn over to Ryan, and you guys don't have to sit all the way in the back. You can, in fact, come right up front here, but it's okay if you want to sit back there. It's all right. We're going to say good morning to Ryan and to Richard, and good morning to everybody who's out online.
Well, good morning to you too, Dr. Petra. And every time you say turn around, that song pops in my head. Turn around, every single da-na-na-na-na. You know, now I got your head stuck on it too.
Thanks.
Yes, and this is the part where we do encourage you to have participation in
We should actually do the Groucho Marx, and I turn step by step, slowly I turn inch by inch. See, I'm going to give you an earworm back.
Oh, no. Now I can't stop thinking about it.
Is
it the Three
Stooges?
We don't know.
But isn't that Groucho Marx? Isn't he one of the Three Stooges?
Fact check us online.
Oh, okay, we're completely off topic.
Now we have a serious debate going on. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
All those who are online, please fact check us. And also pitch your favorite version of Turnaround inside of the comments, and we'd love to hear from you. Okay, so back to what we were originally here for. This is the Science of Mind with Dr. Petra every Sunday morning, and we encourage you to participate with us, whether you're watching us all over the globe or here on campus, in campus, on campus, wherever you prefer. To do so, here in the audience, if you'd like to just raise your hand, I gave the mic over here to Ross, so he can help, and the lovely Carmen over here can help pass the microphone to you as well. And for the folks who are joining us on Zoom, we'd love to hear from you, and you can do so by hitting the raise hand icon located down below. It's either under the reactions or the more tab. And for all the lovely folks all over the globe who are joining us in Facebook land, say hello and make sure to put your questions and comments inside of the chat, and we can bring those into the room as well. And I haven't said this for a while, but I think it's important. I do keep all the chats anonymous. That way we can continue to have a safe container for spiritual growth. So I just want to make sure you guys know that. So just want to poll here in the room. Any thoughts? Ross, that's why I gave you the microphone. All right. We'll go to you, Ross. Go ahead.
I've really embraced this. I love this about you manifest. So I decided I wanted a trip to Vietnam. June, the entire month.
Wow.
I paid for it. And so all the caution I got around me is, you'll get lost there, that's dangerous and everything else. And I said, what I need is a guide. Last week, I got a 1-month itinerary from a native person who's going to guide us through the entire country and take good care of us with a free place to stay.
I love that.
This manifestation thing is such a cool thing.
Yes.
And I can't explain how it happens. I don't need to explain it.
No.
It just happens.
And that, right, that's the idea of the underlying consciousness and the expectation that it's going to work out. You are going to, and you don't, and then the universe can do nothing but give it back and support you in it. I love that. And it's really, really lovely. These are the things that are worth playing with, right? And sometimes it feels like we talk about, a trip or something that we want to manifest specifically, but it's only because it's easy to see. So that when we have really significantly important or difficult or challenging things, we already have evidence, we've already proven to ourselves that it works and that we can do this. So thank you for sharing that, Ross. I love that. All right, checking in online, and then we're going to come back into the room.
Well, online is still fact-checking for songs to turn around, it apparently seems. So, anybody else here in the room? Okay, we have somebody here.
No, we got a couple.
Oh, yes, we have a couple. So we'll go back over to you, Shauna.
My name is Shauna.
Good morning.
Creation this last couple of days just gave us a marvelous winter wonderland. Snow in Dallas instead of ice, and it was just glorious. And both mornings, I live around 2 lakes and around a lot of green space, and so I got out early both mornings when it was still fresh. And the first morning, really the only footprints in the snow were the squirrels, the ducks, and mine with the birds overhead. And it was just for me, it was a huge reminder watching myself make those first footprints about how every day is that new moment.
Yes.
To place a fresh step ahead. Mm-hmm. Every day I get that, right?
Yes.
And creation reminded me with a glorious 2.5 days of it.
Yes.
But I don't know, for me, it's just such a huge picture for 2025. Because it was, I felt like after I walked hours and miles both mornings. And I just feel like it in a real different way, got hardwired into my body. Mm-hmm. It was like a kinesthetic experience.
Beautiful.
And I think it's going to serve me very well this year.
Yes, I love that. Thank you so much, Shauna. And of course, this is why we remind ourselves, this is why it's called New Thought. Because because the infinite, you don't have to sit all the way back there. There are seats up here in the front. We're come on in, just come on in. So the idea that the trajectory has been set, right? Consciousness has moved, intelligence is responding. This is where we don't have this sort of fatalistic, it's just kismet, because we understand that every day is a new day. And whatever we've experienced is actually the history of what we were having in consciousness yesterday, last week, the month before, the year before. And so we can have a new thought, a new consciousness, a new understanding, a new expectation. And we are in that moment giving this intelligence new directions. It's literally like hoeing your garden and saying, okay, this year I'm going to plant carrots instead of tomatoes. The garden doesn't care. It just says, oh, you're planting carrots today. right? Or we could, and so this is such a lovely reminder that every day we can set new causes in motion, and we can support the causes the new causes that we set in motion yesterday and the day before, right? Which is why then we do other kinds of spiritual practice that really cultivate the new thought, which becomes a new belief, which becomes a new consciousness, a new atmosphere, and then that's what's perpetuating the direction for this universal intelligence. Lovely. I love that. Thank you so much. I did the same thing. I have some pictures for our talk today. Come on in here. Just come in here. There you go. And for me, it's also the freshness. Right? And having grown up in Philadelphia, I have a deep appreciation for the fact that nothing turned into black slush. It melted first, right? It was great. Thank you so much, Shauna. Okay, Nicole.
Hey there, I'm Nicole. So is this thing on?
Yes, it's for the people online.
I was looking up earlier while you were talking about Carcassonne. That looks so fun, and all the people online are tabbed over right now. They're buying it. I'm certain of it.
It is super fun.
And I didn't want to get too distracted also looking into the way the game is played, but it looks like the type of game where you build the board first, and then you take those choices and you build upon those choices with villages and cities, and so there's
No, you're
stages
doing all of that
buildings.
simultaneously.
Wow. It looks a lot of fun.
It is. It is.
But yeah, what a great metaphor. I made a choice in my life recently that completely changed or will change my life trajectory. And now I have these board game pieces, and now it's up to me to, okay, what am I going to do with this? It's a very scary place to be. And it's these tiny little choices. It brings me back with the board game analogy of putting this one piece down, or even if you're playing chess, you make this one move. And the second you make this move, you're like, oh God, oh no, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I don't know why I did this. I don't know where I'm going to go from here. And then also reminding me this isn't the only time I'm going to play this game. Even if this game doesn't turn out the way that I want it to this time, I'm still going to rebuild the board. This is still a learning opportunity. I get better at this thing every day.
Yes, I love that. Right?
But it's a really scary time in my life right now, figuring out what I'm going to do with these pieces.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that, Nicole. And that's why we're in community, because we do have scary times. We do have moments when we take our board apart and we're not sure exactly how it's going to go together again, or we decide to play on an entirely new board. And so, that's why we're in community together, so that we can support each other, hold each other's hand, buck each other up, remind each other. And when it's scary, right, this for me is the time to double down into building a positive expectation. So I love Thomas Troward, and if you haven't taken a Thomas Troward class, you need to take it from me this year. We're doing it later in the year. I love what Thomas Troward said. He said, look, here's the deal. You cannot actually make a mistake or a wrong choice. Why? Because the intelligence of the universe has to now take that choice as a part of the path of getting you to where you want to go. Whether that's something specific, let's say a new job, or whether that's a more happy, healthy, peaceful life, a more fulfilling life. And you say, oh, I don't know whether should I do this or should I do that. Which one is going to get me the more fulfilling life? Either one. Either one. Why? Because the intelligence of the universe must respond to, I want a more fulfilling life, and I'm going to choose this. One of two things will happen. Either you'll feel good about it, and the infinite intelligence now has to wrap that into getting you there, or you'll go, oh, I don't feel good about this, I'm going to make a different choice. And the infinite intelligence has to wrap that into on your way to a fulfilling life. Do you see? So we can agonize less over what's the right choice.
Interesting.
Because we can always choose again. And all the universe, this infinite intelligence does is then take that into consideration. Right? And add that to the piece of the puzzle, of the thing that we're moving toward. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is, which is my favorite thing from Troward. That's, it's ridiculous. I probably have 5 favorite things from Troward. I don't know why I say that. The other thing that he said, I remember the very first time I heard this, and I was like, what? He said, you must do this work with cheerful expectancy. Cheerful expectancy. And this is why you get accused of being Pollyannish, or everything doesn't work out always, and the way that people want you to be realistic and all that nonsense. And yes, we don't check our intelligence at the door, but this is what it means, this underlying consciousness that we're building that becomes the way in which we move in the world. So Karen has this unmistakable, cheerful expectancy that she's going to get that damn piece. And I'm still in the hope process of, Lord, whether or not I'm going to get the piece, because I have history that says you can't pull to an inside straight. Don't pull to an, And so I have information, worldly evidence that is impacting my ability to have cheerful expectancy. Does that make sense to you, right? And so this is the work that we're constantly doing, that this kind of, we are spirit human. We don't check our intelligence at the door. We don't check our humanness at the door. We are spirit human. And so yes, our cheerful expectancy does actually operate through our human experience. So we're not going to just go jump off a cliff to prove that we can fly. Right? So these two things are constantly in balance, and in the paradox of the act of being and becoming. But we can undergird the movement of our human experience. We can undergird it with this consciousness of cheerful expectancy. And I feel like I had to work easily. I probably worked on that for 2 years. I grew up in a critical home. I grew up in a home, you got a 99? Why did you not get 100? That's the house I grew up in, right? And so nothing less than straight A's was acceptable. Even an A- got a little raised eyebrow, and a B was like, okay, what happened? And so this idea that there's this relaxing into a cheerful expectancy, and then you don't actually know all the pieces. You don't know how that guide's going to show up. You don't maybe know exactly. You then also don't have to orchestrate each of the pieces. We say, I'm going to Vietnam. I have a cheerful expectancy that this is going to work out. I'm going to start moving in that direction. And then we watch as the pieces fall into place. And we can choose or not. Oh, I like that guide. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I like the itinerary, maybe I don't, right? But that's where our choices then come in, right? And we are participating in the process, and we're staying committed to the end result. This is what I want. And so all of this helps us move through the scary, right? Thank you so much, Nicole, for saying that, because we teach and we live a philosophy of transformation, which means change, and we hate it because change is scary. And so we don't want to do it. We want to be comfortable. We want to stay in the status quo. It's nice. It's good. It's okay. Whatever it is, right? And so we finding this cheerful expectancy and being in community, having spiritual coaching, all of those things help make that scary a little bit less scary. And slowly but surely, I learned it. Scary and excitement is only the difference between the butterflies flying all over the place or them flying in formation. Right? So excitement is all those butterflies flying in formation, and that's kind of the energetic that we want to have in our consciousness. All right, so I've got one back there, one up here, one online. So what are we doing, Ryan?
Well, I just have this very important information so I don't get sued by YouTube with my bad rendition of Turnaround. Credits go to Bonnie Taylor for Total Eclipse of the Heart.
Ah, there you go.
That's where it came from. And the internet is successful at winning again.
I love that.
do have a quick question online,
Okay.
so let's take that real
Okay.
quick, and then we'll come back here into the audience. It asks, what are your thoughts about the mental equivalent to expect the unexpected?
Oh, my thoughts about that is super fun, right? And that's a great mental equivalent. I use that when I'm traveling. I use that when I'm in especially a really big project, like we did this big, massive remodeling here, right sizing. And part of my cheerful expectancy is I don't know where the good is going to come from. I don't know what it's going to be, and I love to be surprised by that. Which is why when that underlying mental equivalent of cheerful expectancy is, we're attracting all kinds of unexpected ways in which that, whatever that is unfolding. We get in the way of the unexpected, the serendipities and the coincidences when we're over here trying to figure out and manage each piece, right? And then there's no room. Sometimes I'm anthropomorphizing the infinite intelligence, right? But I think sometimes it says, well, it looks like you think you've got it, so, let me know how it goes. And it just kind of waits because we're so busy in the factoring in each detail as opposed to having the end results in mind and having cheerful expectancy that all these wonderful, unexpected good is going to happen to bring us to that end result. So I love that. And yes, that to me is part of this cheerful expectancy. Like, how's it going to happen? Where's it going to come from? What unexpected thing is going to be a part of this? So beautiful. All right. So Darlene and then JL.
Hi, I'm Darlene. I've become really aware that I haven't been in this space before, and so that's uncomfortable.
Yes.
And I've been over the weekend thinking, okay, so I'm in this space. It's good. It's a good space, but it's uncomfortable, and it's scary. And so I said, so now what do I do? How do I, what? And I just asked that question and put it in the universe, and you gave me the answer. In number one, watching idle chatter. Just saying stuff, because that creates.
It does.
And so just the long story short, that's where I'm going to begin. Really, and who wants to watch? We just want to talk, I just want to talk. But watching that idle chatter is something that I really don't want to do. I just want to talk. But I'm realizing it creates.
Yes.
Because that I'm really aware of this like underlying current that is, like you say, just waiting for me to give it something.
Yes.
And being aware and conscious of what I'm giving it.
Right.
Equates to me in 2025, shut up. Just shut up and listen.
Yeah.
And learn.
Yeah.
And be aware.
Right. And just be present. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you so much. And these are very uncomfortable spaces when all of a sudden, it can be uncomfortable to lose your struggle. Well, now what am I supposed to do? It can be uncomfortable to lose your struggle. Isn't that how I show that I'm strong? Well, isn't that just how life is? Well, it's so unconscious that, we're always having to push against something because life is a struggle. Well, who am I and what do I do when there's no struggle? Oh, see, that's why our whole theme this year is right here, right now, create an entirely different thing. And then we have to sit in front of the blank canvas. Well, what do I want to create? Well, whatever you want. I'm going to wait for Spirit to decide. Spirit's like, the universe, this intelligence is like, okay, you don't give me any new direction, you're going to get more of the same. So, because that's all I got going here, right? And so it's really lovely. And so that's one of the reasons why our cheerful expectancy should actually help us make friends with discomfort. Our spirituality is not designed to keep us comfortable. You just hate that. It's our spirituality helps us grow and create and be more and become more and express more, right? Which means that whatever this moment is, there's a new one right behind it. All right, JL.
So this cheerful expectancy part, I think over time, I think it starts off cheerful for me, and then after months or years or rejection after rejection after rejection, it's hard to keep the cheerful expectancy going. How do you put your stake in the ground, have this cheerful expectancy, and deal with disappointments?
It's a great question, JL. I remember talking to one of my prayer partners years ago, and we were talking about disappointment and the fact that we expect that our spirituality is going to help us avoid disappointment, right? And it doesn't. Disappointment is part of what matures us spiritually, because it's an invitation to do one or both of these things. The first one is to double down on nothing and no one can stand in the way of my good and my joy, right? And this is where we are invited into our discipline, and then the second thing is to examine our beliefs, our attitudes, and our expectations. Right? Because the universe we are not a victim of this experience. And so we have to take ownership of what's our part. And we have to find that. It could be as simple as we have accepted the consciousness of the human race of the glass ceiling for women. And we might not even realize that we believe that. We might not even realize that we accept it, that's a ubiquitous part of our story. And yet, if that's hiding back there, we could very well, over and over and over again, be manifesting that. Who knows what it is, right? And so this is where then we have to do our internal work about knowing who and what we are. I'm a radiant, magnificent being of love and light. Nothing and no one can stand in the way of my good. Period. End of sentence. And to keep doubling down on that. And when we have disappointment, right? I love Michael Beckwith's statement: delay is not denial. We can then also say, which I think is 100% true, that which doesn't come about, usually we've dodged a bullet. Usually, right? Usually then what I say and what I really believe is that was not the answer to my expectation. That was not it. And I don't, if it's not it, I don't want it. And so there's all kinds of ways, but this is our work. Our work is to keep turning ourselves around, keep turning ourselves, oh, there we are again, turn around, turn around, turn around, turn around, right? And that's really what it means to repent. What it means to repent is to turn around back to spiritual truth. If we repent and we turn to God, right, that in the traditional parlance, what we mean is we are turning around back to our spiritual knowingness. And when we continually allow it to degrade our consciousness, we are allowing ourselves to be victims of outer circumstances. And then outer circumstances continue to reflect what's in our consciousness. Oh, see, once again, it didn't work. Oh, there it is again. Oh, I'm having this experience again. Oh, I don't have the energy to be positive. That's what we get reflected back, right? And this is the discipline of our work. And the more that we can stay steady, the more we will be able to move through disappointments. And we all have a lifetime of disappointments, right? Relationships that didn't work out, jobs that didn't work out, hopes and dreams that we didn't have, that we didn't fulfill. We have a lifetime of disappointments. And so then finally, the last thing that helps build this underlying consciousness is, without a doubt, is the attitude of gratitude. What has worked out? When have I had it? What is good in my life? What's good in my life right now, despite the disappointment? Right? To see all of that, because all we're doing is we're giving guidance to that infinite intelligence that is going to reflect back to us what it is that we have as our underlying state of being, right? And this is when our formal practice is so important. We do our meditation, so we're over and over and over and over again in touch with not only our own spaciousness, our own infinite nature, but where our infinite nature and the one infinite nature is the same infinite nature. And when we can move into that infinite nature, right, this issue, this disappointment that we're having in the moment is a nanosecond in the eternality of our lives, of our expression as individualized beings, right? It's a nanosecond. And surely the infinite intelligence knows how to move through this, right? Over and over again, to rely on that, to move into that, and to declare there is good in the universe and I ought to have it. There is good in the universe and I ought to have it. There is good in the universe and I ought to have it, period. And and that infinite intelligence says, well, there's good in the universe and you ought to have it, right? This is why we call it the work, right? This is the work, and it's all here. Embodiment, heart acceptance, mental discipline, it's right here, right? Okay, I know we're over time, so I see your hand, and so...
I'm waving it frantically over here. Okay. Because I have one question for you, Dr. Petra.
Yes.
Are you ready to receive?
Yes, absolutely.
Because that's the name of our Step Out in Faith home study group that's going to be coming up here in March. And guess what? We're looking for hosts. That's right, all of you in the crowd, online, on the audience. It's free. And you know what you're going to do? You're going to get all the materials, no experience is necessary, and you get to walk through the power of spiritual mind treatment together. So you get to learn stuff like what we're talking about right here, right now.
I love that, yes.
So that is starting today, and it's running up until the last Sunday, I think is the 26th.
Of January, to sign up as a host.
To sign up as a host, and then we take about a week to collect and organize, and then it will be time for participation registration, and then we kick it off all together starting in March.
Yeah.
So don't want to miss out for that. Get signed up. We have a new landing page on our CSLDallas.org, so check it out. It's under the home study section when you click on events, and you can see the registration form in there. And another thing, we have a special guest that's coming in on February 2nd to co-lead a fabulous in-person workshop with Dr. Petra. And it's all about relationships. So, Dr. Petra, can you tell everybody a little bit more about what you'll be teaching?
So David Zellman, who was with us earlier last year, and so this is all we build our relationships. It's all about the conversations we're having, and it's so how to have a conversation with yourself, primarily in service to healthy relationships. And so his work is really amazing. And for those of you who had a chance to experience the workshop that we did last year in, I think, March, whenever we did it, about this internal conversation, which is just exactly what we're talking about, right? And so it's going to be two Sundays afternoon. We know the second Sunday is Super Bowl Sunday, so we promise that you will be out in time to be home for your Super Bowl party, so do not worry. So it's Sunday the 2nd and Sunday the 9th. And so, yeah, and that's, creating healthy relationships, and it starts here. Right, so it's really powerful. You don't have to be in a relationship, but if you want to, you and your partner to come together, there is an opportunity. I can't remember now. Are we doing an early bird registration?
Yes, there is an early bird registration, and it's $99 up until the 26th. Then it goes up, I think about by 40 or 50.
Yeah, so if you want to come, both of you, right, register early. Don't wait till the last minute, and then you'll get that $99, and it'll be less expensive. We do have childcare, so for those of you who are in families,
and childcare is included into the cost. It's not a separate fee as well.
And so, yeah, whether you're bringing one child or five, there's no cost. So come be a part of it. Yeah, so keep watching our flyers, our website. Ryan has created a whole new landing page for our events, makes it easier to find the events as opposed to just by date, but by categories and things that you're looking for that you've heard about. Hopefully it'll make it a lot easier to find the events and to sign up for them.
And real quick, for the folks here in person, we do have some handouts that actually have the QR codes on there as well too, so you don't have to go to the website. There's some handouts right outside the door here.
Yes. All right. Well, do we have? I think that's it. So I think we're going to go. I think we're going to go on to the celebration. Wait.
What first book would you recommend of Troward's to read?
The Edinburgh Lectures. Read the Edinburgh Lectures. Okay, now remember, this man, he is a lawyer. He is creating a case, and I promise you that if you will, and he has sentences that go on for 2 pages with lots of semicolons and dashes and commas and things like that. So you really have to pay attention to the argument, right? He's like creating an argument like a lawyer presenting a case to a jury, only your jury is your left brain that's going, yeah, but. And his work is the antidote to your analytical left brain that wants to go, yeah, but. So it's brilliant material. But if but it can be challenging to read. Don't give up. Take your time. Read up just 2 pages and just sit with it for a minute. Try to understand what it is he's saying, or take the class. It's going to be fabulous.
All right.
Yay. All right. We'll see you in the celebration. See you next week.